celebration that people had something to write with. So I hope that's I'm going to pass that over. Got more. How's it going? It's so weird. Like I feel like we're old friends, but I don't remember everyone's name. Like that you know, it sounds kind of. It's kind of a weird place to be. Which means you can also tell me if my collar is down or if my barn door needs to be raised, right? Or so if I have a booger in my nose, please tell me. All right. Because we've got that kind of relationship now, right? We're tight like that. Do you guys all have handouts? All right, great. Does everyone have something to write with? If you don't, so as my grandmother would say, closed mouths never get fed. So if you don't have something, I do have writing utensils because we'll be using them all three. Oh, okay, cool. I can get you paper. Might have to get a refund for Lifetime Fitness. So all this running around stuff. Get it in. I'm going to pass you that. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, great. So, help me save a tree. Help me save a tree. So, how is everyone? How are you doing? Good. There's a lot of stuff going on since the last time we gathered out in the world. And just interesting stuff happening all over the place. You know, we've had a couple of hurricanes, right? And hopefully we're out of hurricane season, so you know we can start going back on cruises and getting great deals, right? So, I usually try to book a cruise during hurricane season because it's the cheapest. But sometimes, I went one time to the Western Caribbean. Has anyone done that cruise or whatnot? Beautiful. I was like, oh, because lots of people do the east side on the Atlantic side, but we did the Pacific side, and so it was really cool. Went to Belize, and here's something I didn't know. So I'm in Belize, and I start seeing like black people, and I'm like, okay, you know that makes sense. You know, black people can be in Belize, right? So it's like about 100 degrees, and I'm in my touristy stuff, you know, shorts and a t-shirt and all this kind of stuff. And I see this guy who's in this like full jean outfit, like denim, like heavy denim jeans, right? So he's got the jacket and matching pants and Timberland boots. I don't know if anybody remember in the 90s when Timberland boots were big, right? So he had these Timberland boots and these saggy, they weren't like saggy, but they were baggy kinds of jeans and this jean jacket. And then he had these two big cornrow braids, I mean, just gorgeous hair and these great big braids and going down this thing. And I'm like, I'm in another country. This is just so interesting. I'm going to have a cross-cultural experience. I'm going to talk to this person who has, you know, so I go over to him and I said, hey man, how you doing? And he was like, what's up? I'm a little bit, I'm drawn back because he's clearly Belizean, right? I mean, he looks like the rest of the Belizeans. And so I'm like, so, you know, he's like, so what's up? And I'm like, nothing. I'm like, what's up with you? It's like nothing. I was like, dude, that outfit is tight. That's what we said for nice, right? So that outfit is tight. He was like, yeah. I was like, now I'm trying to figure out because I've seen no Target on in all of Belize, all during our tour for Central America. I didn't see any high fashion stores, so I'm trying to figure out like where did this dude get this hookup, this outfit, right? So I just went to it. I said, your outfit's really nice. Where did you get it? Guess what he said? Chicago. Now I'm just like my little head is like blown away. And I'm not thinking like, Of course he can fly to Chicago. Anybody can fly to Chicago. Right? It turns out he had family in Chicago. And so, although he is Belizean, it's not that terribly difficult to get to the United States. You just buy a ticket. I mean, get a passport, buy a ticket. And it just floored me. So, loved doing that stuff during going on cruises during the hurricane season because just got the best deals. Anyone ever? This is something. So I was Todd and I were just talking. I saw him at Target, and not Target, IKEA. So yeah, IKEA, and he was getting some stuff in IKEA, and I was getting some stuff in IKEA. So we.
What else do you go to IKEA for?
Right. There are lots of things, right? So you could go to IKEA to eat. Right? They've got great stuff. And on certain Saturdays, I don't know if you guys know this, but on certain Saturdays, if you spend $100, they will pay for your food. So you eat for free. So you'll see like people with like 17 plates in IKEA. So we could have went there for dinner. They have great Scandinavian food, Swedish food. This is something else that is interesting about IKEA. Just all these little tidbits. So, you guys know that there's a spat between Swedes and Norwegians, right? I mean, just kind of this little rub between Swedes and Norwegians. So, IKEA took this to another level because they're a Swedish company. Guess what they named a number of their floor tiles? Norwegian cities. Why? Because you walk on it was like this little inside joke that IKEA was doing towards the Swedes. It's towards the Norwegians. So it's kind of interesting. But we're there, and I was buying some stuff. My wife and I were buying some stuff for a teardrop camper that we purchased. And it was interesting. As I was driving in today, I passed the neighborhood right over here where we bought the teardrop camper from this, from this couple, and it's uncompleted, so it doesn't have the roof. The sides are there, the lights are there, and they cut out one of the doors, so we got to put the doors in and that kind of stuff. So we're building this teardrop camper. So we're at IKEA getting stuff for it, and I want to tell you that I'm human. I'm human. So there's this new song that I've been like really playing. It's like an earworm in my head by Bag and Bones Man? Has anyone heard that song by Bag and Bones Man? It's some people got a real problem. Some people out of luck. Some people think I can solve them. Lord heavens above, I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. So because it's my earworm, it is also my daughter's earworm. So now we're in all sorts of public places and she just breaks into song like it's a musical. The whole world's a musical stage. When we go to, she loves going to Barnes and Noble because she can do her show. She can do her show. So Barnes & Noble has a little reading platform where they do readings and stuff. So my daughter thinks that is her stage to do her show. And so we've been practicing her intros, right? So she'll get on stage and, ladies and gentlemen, she's 3. Ladies and gentlemen, now I will do the song. And I'm like, no. Your timing is horrible. I'm like, you're 3. We expect more from you. So we do all this stuff. So this earworm. So I want you to know that I'm human. So we came down and I overestimated my ability to get through traffic to make it to Mankato. And so we got here a little early. So to kind of bridge the time a little bit, because the other thing with a 3-year-old kid, empty time is problematic, right? I mean, trying to manage this no schedule, no whatever. So we stopped at the in St. Peter at the McDonald's, right outside of St. Peter. And when we got there, it was just my family and a Hispanic family, Latinx family, right? So their little kid is playing and our little kid is playing, and they're not quite playing together because, sometimes kids are like that, right? But they're playing in the same space. Now, I want you to know that I am trying to be a really good human being. I'm trying to be a really good human being. But even I have limits, right? So we're sitting there, we're having our meal, I'm checking email, doing some other stuff, trying to buy some time before we go pick up the trailer right over here. And so school must have let out, right? School must have let out. And so there are about 10 little kids, probably middle school and elementary age kids, and one of the older kids, and I would say that they were kids of color. Some of them may have been biracial, so they certainly couldn't make that distinction, right? But they certainly look like kids of color. And the oldest was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 12, right? So she's got this group she's the leader of this group, and so they rush into the McDonald's and they get on all the stuff. And you know how kids are without parent supervision. I mean, it's a little bit like what was the Pinocchio land? Where did Pinocchio go? Never. No, there's the amusement park play. You can remember that in Disney, right? When they start turning into donkeys, or asses, as my grandfather would say. I'm just saying what my grandfather would say. Don't be anyway. So the kids started doing that. Now, the thing that really struck me was that there's a lot of kids unsupervised in this McDonald's. But what was most disturbing was how they were talking to each other. And I'm going to use some crass language just to point this out, right? So one of the smaller kids, probably no more than 7, 8, is like swinging off the stuff and being kind of inappropriate in how you're supposed to play in that space, right? So he's crawling on the outside of the equipment, not in the tunnel, not in with the balls that are on top of it and that kind of stuff. And so he's trying to encourage the other kids to do this, to do it with him. And he says, "Yo, niggas, y'all need to get up here and do this shit." That's what he said. Guess what I do? "Hey, you better watch your mouth." And I'm thinking like, oh, that was quick. That was quick. Now, I had to ask myself, did I do the wrong thing? And I would suggest over and over again, I did not do the wrong thing by bringing attention to that. I don't think I did it wrong. I don't think it was the wrong thing to do. Could I have done it better? I believe I could have done it better. I could have done it better. We're all going to run into experiences that we have with people, and we'll think, was it the wrong thing to do or the right thing to do? And those are good questions to ask oneself. Because people who keep doing it wrong aren't asking those questions. People who do evil don't really consider it evil. They this is just what I do. Right? So it's good that you ask those questions. The other question is, can I do it better? And I think I can do it better. And the universe will give me the opportunity to do it better. Because those types of situations will come up again. While at that same McDonald's, I wasn't surprised, but I was intrigued that there were lots of Somali youth that were coming into McDonald's to get the same crappy burger I was getting. I think it's amazing that how many people can make a burger better than McDonald's? How come we're not millionaires? Like, I want to know, why do we keep buying these crappy burgers? Right? But I saw that and I was like, this is amazing. There really are a large number of Somali youth Somali folks in this area. And it struck me that they want the same crappy stuff I want. They don't want special stuff, right? They want the same crappy stuff I want. That they are here because of the same kind of push and pull factors that we all use to migrate from place to place. Or in some cases, we immigrate to make that new place our home. They want safety, significance, and belonging, just like we all want. How they get those things or what those things look like may be different because of where they came from. We know that Florida has February 15th, just like Minnesota, but it looks a whole lot different in Florida than it does here on February 15th. Right? And those Floridians, they don't know what they're missing. They don't know what they're missing. They could be ice fishing. They could be cross-country skiing. They could be looking for little gold medallions in the dead of winter. But no, what do they want to do? Be on the beach. Aren't they just weird, strange creatures? I remember all of this is my opening monologue, and it's going somewhere into the workshop, so I don't want you to think I'm just rambling. I'm rambling with a purpose. So I remember I love and hate Facebook at the same time. Love it and hate it, right? So the great things about Facebook is that you can connect with people. Right? My mom has just now learned how to do it, and she's always trying to contact my daughter. And my daughter's like, she wants to see the phone. What she means by that is she wants to see a person talking, not just listen to the voice. She gets very frustrated when you're just looking at the voice. And she's like, I can't see her. I can't see her in the phone. And so my mom uses that. So love it, love it, love it. But I also hate Facebook. And guess why I hate it? Because you can connect with people. Right? I got a text. Hey, are you Andre Cohen? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Andre. This is Dolion Jordan. I was like, Dolion, what's going on, man? I haven't talked to this guy in years. He was in my first hour algebra class senior year, right? And he says, weren't you the fish boy? Yes, Dolion, I was the fish boy. See, I had this bad habit of keeping my clothes so everything was done in the kitchen at my house. So the kitchen was the main place that we did stuff. Because who was there? Who was in the kitchen? My mom, right? So my mom's the center of everything. So we spent all the time in the kitchen. And we'd annoy her and all sorts of stuff in the kitchen. But we did everything in there. There was a little TV in there. You know, she'd cook. And so I was one of those preppy kids that... where I grew up, it was important to iron your jeans. It was important to have a crease in the front of your jeans, right? So that was the thing. And at that time, penny loafers were in, and so I wore penny loafers, but I put a quarter in it because I was balling. Right. No, and so that was kind of the style. And so what I did was Thursday night, I put all my clothes out. I laid them all out in the kitchen where the ironing board was and all that kind of stuff. And my mom made our kind of traditional Thursday night meal, which was fried catfish. And so we sat down, and you know what? If you put enough Frank's hot sauce on it, this is before sriracha, right? But if you put enough Frank's hot sauce on anything, it tastes halfway decent, right? So you have all that hot sauce and that kind of stuff. And so I left my clothes there. I get up the next morning, hop in my clothes, put on my backpack, head off to school. First hour algebra class, I have a problem. What is my problem? I smell like fish. Now, why do I smell like fish? Because what? I left my clothes in the kitchen, in a close proximity to fish. So, but I also had clothes that did not smell like fish that I could have elected to wear. And where were those clothes that did not smell like the fish? They're pretty far away from the kitchen. Right? So right now I have this thing, all because of that. I have this thing about whenever there's cooking going on in my house, open the window, turn on the fan, so all that's, so it's good smelling stuff, but it all goes out there. So I want you to think about this. So it's kind of a joke, but it's also some reality, right? So my clothes smell like fish because they were in close proximity to fish. How many of you would call yourself a good person? Raise your hand. Whatever standard you would use for that. A good person. Okay, cool. Right. So after you laugh, I want you to think about what I'm asking. So you say you are a good person. What do the people around you smell like? Do they smell good like you? Do they smell good like you? Because there is something about being close to that there's something that should be rubbing off of you onto them. Right? And so we have to understand that context is everything, that relationships matter, that how we interact with folks, we're sharing and we're cross-pollinating stuff all the time. Right? So, on the first page of your handout, and I saw a couple of people come in who may not have gotten a handout, so if you don't have a handout, if you do, just great. And I have a pen for you too. You're welcome. Anybody else? Do you have a pen? Do you have something to write with? Great. All right, wonderful. You can just set those extras on the side. I'll grab them all. Oh, you can't have them all. No. I'm delighted. It's one of those things. I did not bring those here to bring back home. Okay. So on the front of the cover, we're here talking about intercultural competence. This is our fourth meeting, and this hopefully will be a capstone of everything that we've already talked about. Hopefully you won't find too much repetition, although I'm the same person, so it's kind of hard sometimes. But we are in a conservative environment. And we talked about this before, that the pundits or the people who are trying to determine the outcome of the presidential election got it wrong. They got it wrong. And so all these polls, some people were really surprised. And they went, oh, we're surprised. And why did they get it wrong? Because they were asking the wrong question. They actually thought this particular election was about red and blue, Democrats and Republicans. That's what they thought it was. What they did not recognize is that this particular election was an election of ideologies, of ideas about the world, about thinking about how the world should be or could be, particularly here in the United States. So they got it wrong because they didn't know how people were thinking about this particular election. And so, I will say this, and this is just my little commentary. When I look at Republicans and I look at Democrats, there are some things that I see in those folks. And when I look at President Donald J. Trump, I think he's a rhino, personally. Republican in name only. Because the Republicans that I know act clearly differently than the man who says that he's a part of this particular thing. Right? So that's just my personal thing. Because I think he acts as if he's an other. Neither of those two things, he acts like an other. But what we have to recognize is that we are in a conservative environment. And what does that word mean, conservative? There's some definitions on the front part of your sheet if you want to use them. It's conservative. Holding on to traditional values or old ways of doing things. What else? Now here's the part we have to get over ourselves, right? We got to get over ourselves. Because typically what people will do is they'll add a value to what that word means. That being conservative is good or bad. And what I like to suggest to you that it is. Conservative is. Someone asked me a question the other day, and they keep asking me this, which is I think is interesting because as I get older, I'm changing my ideologies, how I see the world, and I think it's called maturation. is actually the process that I'm going through. Because one of the things I think is really difficult and dangerous to or a concept to hold or ideology to even entertain is this idea of hope. I'm coming to the age where I now believe that hope is useless. As a matter of fact, I think hope frustrates the heck out of people. Hope. Did you ever have a friend, anyone have ice cream trucks growing up in your neighborhood? Right? And the kid goes and gets the, one kid in the block always could afford the ice cream while everybody else had popsicles. Right, and when you're a kid, that's a big deal. As an adult, you're like, it's all dessert. But as a kid, that's like a big thing. And what would happen when the kid with the ice cream cone? I got some ice cream, and you got popsicles or a push-up, right? And so we have this little animosity between the two of us, and hopefully one day you'll get one of those. What's the problem with hope?
Sometimes it doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out like that, right? And so if you're hoping for something and it doesn't turn out, then you have this aching problem. So people will keep asking me this particular question. They say, are things getting better with racial diversity? They ask me that question all the time. And when I was hopeful, I would say, I hope so. I think we are. But then I started thinking, as I'm getting older, the more I do this stuff, what if it doesn't get better? What if this is what it is? How does that change my response to what I'm supposed to do? So what if this is it? What if it's not going to get better? What if it is just this? Then if it's going to get better, I got to make this better. I got to make right now better. I got to stretch out my arms around folks now and make it better. So is being conservative good or bad? I would say it just is. Tornadoes do not have vendettas against mobile home living communities, right? They don't have a vendetta. That's just what they do, right? So this idea of being conservative. So if we have this ideology that we need to slow things down, be more traditional, we have to take our time in doing these things. What do we know about the environment that we're operating in? Is that the environment that we're operating in? No. Things are changing very fast. It's so funny. 5 years ago, let's see if I have my jump drive. 5 years ago, I bought this jump drive, and this is a 512 jump drive. It was huge. I'll never be able to fill that up. 2 terabytes. 5 years. The people who are in our communities now weren't necessarily at the same numbers they were 5 years ago. And guess what? The numbers are going to continually drop, particularly when we have viable communities where people want to come and live. Right? So we have this conservative mindset, but we have this environment where things are changing really fast. What are we going to have as a result of that? Anyone know one of the ways that they try to explain earthquakes? What is that? What's one of the ways that they try to explain earthquakes, why they happen? The tectonic plates bump or shift or move. And so they change everything above them. So we have these two ideologies that are going to come into conflict. Is conflict good or bad? A answer is, it just is. And B is what? Could be both. Could be both. So what determines if a conflict is a good conflict? Whether you're able to actually accomplish something or not. If conflict comes out, if we come through or out of conflict and we haven't resolved anything, we haven't learned anything, we haven't developed anything, then that was a bad conflict. But if we're actually able to work through conflict to get goals, then we can actually make some things happen. So what are some ways in which we can deal with conflict? How do we deal with conflict?
Sit down and talk to somebody.
Sit down and talk to someone. Right. Communication. So sitting down, talking with someone, building a relationship with someone. What else? Try to see things from their aspect. Research your information. Agree to disagree. Okay, so great stuff. This is all great stuff. You're absolutely right. I was talking to my college class, and this is what I said. So I have 29 single white females in my class, and one Hmong American male in my classroom. So I had 30 folks in my classroom, the majority of which are white. And so I told them, and this is a funny thing because, some students write notes, every so often, and then you got the ones that never write notes. But when I said this, they all were writing notes. Like, I don't know if they were trying to document the moment when they heard a black man say this or what. But so I told them, I said, one of the things that I want you to know, and we've said this, we've addressed this in our sessions. I said, I want you to be proud of being white. And they're like, sorry, sorry. What did I mean by that? Did I mean, I certainly didn't mean wearing a little funny hat and burning, religious icons, and I didn't mean any of that kind of stuff. What did I mean for that? Well, why do I have that as a desire for them?
Because it's who they are except for number 30.
It's who they are except for number 30. Okay, and what was number? Oh, 30, yes. 30. Okay, I was... He's a little quicker than me. That's why he's administrator. Why else? So you don't have to apologize for who you are. You don't. Right? Only human. Right? We talk about that. Right? So here's the other part. So as you're trying to build these coalitions, you don't say what oftentimes these teachers will say. Right? So I'm teaching teachers who will be in the classroom. So teachers sometimes get upset when kids get pulled out of their classes for enrichment. And this is what they say. They say, why are they getting pulled out of my class? And then there are these little silent ... dots. What's the rest of that phrase that they don't say out loud, but it's certainly the conversation they're having in their head? Why are they getting pulled out of my class? For enrichment, be it cultural or academic or whatever. The ... is because I didn't get that. Because I didn't get that. So when we talk about like building these kind of cross-cultural relations and cross-cultural pieces, we have to be full ourselves, because if we're not, then we will be threatened by other people who are seeking to be full. If I don't feel like I can display my and I'll just use this concept of whiteness. If I can't display my whiteness, why do they get to display their Hispanicness? Or why do they get to display their other stuff? So I have to come to terms with, no, it's okay for me to do this. Because when they do it, it's okay for them to do it too. Right? It's okay for them to do it too. And so when we talk about building these coalitions, we have to, those are the kinds of things we have to talk about. One of the things that also kind of gets convoluted in this conversation is that we think that we have to, when two people make a pact to do something, what do they call it?
Contract.
No, not contract or agreement, but you give up something and then I give up something and we compromise, right? We said we have to compromise. I believe that that compromise is evil. It's evil. Compromise is horrible. It's bad. What does compromise mean? That I have to give up something and the other person gives up something. What's the understanding in that compromise? So neither one of us are getting exactly what we want. We both gave up something, and the thing that we don't talk about is that we assume that we gave up the same value of thing. So my wife is a crafter. Loves crafts. Loves doing the little scrapbooking thing. I don't get it, right? Because half the stuff that she buys, she cuts a little piece out of and like throws the rest away. And I'm like, this is just a waste of money. But I like motorcycles. I like motorcycles. So in the story, let's say I have a motorcycle and my wife doesn't like my motorcycle. And she says, Andre, you need to get rid of that motorcycle. And because I want to compromise, I say, okay, I'll get rid of my motorcycle. But you gotta stop crafting. And let's say we both do that. Right? Don't you know anytime you make those kind of compromises, that the compromise sneaks back up on you later in a conversation? You made me give up crafting. That was my outlet. That was my stress management. What just happened to our compromise? I thought we were cool. You gave up something, I gave up something. At the root of every compromise is resentment. Compromises don't work because of resentment. And when does resentment pop up? When you think that what you gave up is not as valuable as what they gave up, or that they gave up less than what you had to give up. And who's at discretion? Whose discretion is that? That's your discretion. You can make that up at any time you want. So let's say my wife and I continue in that vein. But when it came time to go get a cruise, we realized I gave up the motorcycle. She gave up crafting. So we could pool that money for the cruise. Now what do we think about what we gave up? It's good because we have a common goal that we're building together. So compromise sucks. It's horrible. Collaboration is powerful. Powerful. What are we going to build together? Let's build something together. Let's cut these other things and let's build this stuff together. And so when we talk about this, where we are, all this stuff, I want us to think about how do we build stuff together with folks. So what I want to do, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes, to get in groups of 2 or 3 and answer the 2 questions at the bottom of that page. The first question being, what does being in a conservative environment where things are changing rapidly, what does that suggest about our community? Right? What does that suggest about our community? What might be some possibilities of things we can anticipate given these 2 different ideologies? Secondly, what adaptation might we need to consider given the fact that we're in a rapidly changing environment where this heavy ideology of slowing down exists? All right, cool. So I'll give you 3 minutes to talk with your neighbor.